In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to do other formulas in VBA coding. Now, you might want to do a VLOOKUP formula or sum formula or any type of formula that would have worked in Excel in VBA, and you wanted to do it automatically. So how do you do it? Let's first start with a normal formula in Excel. Now, as you know, that with VBA coding, it works better if you define ranges. So I did define a range, and this range with the numbers in is called test. So in Excel, I would have said equals sum, open a bracket, and I would have said test. And that would sum that range called test. So how do we do that in VBA coding? So in VBA coding, I would refer to the range I want to do first. So I'm going to do this formula in D1. Remember the inverted commas, and then you're going to say dot formula. Can you see there at the bottom it says formula R1C1. Now press tab. Then you would say, so this effectively tells us that in range D1 we want to do a formula. This formula will say equals, and then we have to start with inverted commas and do the same formula again. So sum, open the bracket, test. This will then do the same formula as we did on top. So let's try it. So if I run this, go range, and I said D1, so it would have done the same one. So let's say range D2. We run it, and there you'll see the same one is there. So this is when it's quite easy. We've defined the range. There's nothing really difficult about it. The problem comes in if we do the following. So I say equals sum, but now I select the range. So let's select something that isn't defined. So F1 to F7. So how do we do that in Excel? So let's go see what happens if we put that in coding. So F1 to F7. So I press run now. Let's see what happens. So you see it doesn't work. It puts in this apostrophes everywhere. So this way of doing formulas in VBA coding uses the R1C1 style. So what does that mean? And I think we need to spend some time on this. If you go to File, and at the bottom there you see Options, and then you go to Formulas, and you select the R1C1 style. So what you'll see, I'm just going to, there's already a name, let's just call it something else. Okay, so it's just this name which the coding didn't know what's it about. So when I make it R1C1 style, it means that I've got numbers on top and numbers at the bottom. What does that mean? If I say equals that, so it means, let's look at what the formula does on top. It says row minus 1, so 1 row less and 3 columns to the left. So it says minus. So minus that to where I'm standing. So I'm standing on 9 and 2. So 1 to the left, 3 rows to the left. So that's rows and columns. So rows, columns. The same would happen if I say that equals to the one just next to it. So that one will then say no row, so there's nothing next to the row but 1 column to the right. If I were to say equals the one to the left, can you see it's minus 1. The same would happen if I just take 1. So there's nothing at the column but now 1 row more. So that's effectively what's happening on the R1C1. And that is what Excel needs in here. So let's go see how this formula would have looked by doing the R1C1 style. So Excel would use this. So it means we need to use this once. Just enter inside our formula there. And this would work. So let's do this in 4. We run it. You see it works. Okay, but let's look at the problem we've got. We did our first formula. We copied and pasted in the second row. So this one is as well. It would copy down. So that's why a normal fixing of references. So how would this look if you fix it? So let's go select all of them. So F4 doesn't work here. You guys see? So the best would be, let's change it back. We go Options, Formulas, we change it back. So let's go fix it. F4. Okay, now it's fixed. So how does this look? And what I'm just going to do, put $ there as well, just to let you guys see exactly how this would look in the R1C1, because it's a bit different. So options, and you would need to use the same. So if you do struggle with using the R1C1, just change it to that quickly and to see how it looks. Okay, so this is very specific. R1 C6. It hasn't got the brackets. Okay, R1 C1, R7. So this effectively says row 1 C6, row 7 column 6. Okay, so let's go try that. Let's go put that inside my brackets here and see if that works. So again, that would be in D4. So now it works. So it's more specific. It's saying exactly which row and which column to go to. This is the one you need to use for VBA coding. If you didn't have a defined name, it's important to use defined names, but sometimes it's just not possible to do. So any type of formula you want to do, you put inside here. VLOOKUPs, text formulas, any type of formula. If you're going to go to text formulas, for example, I'm going to do a quick text formula. One of text formulas is left. So let's say I want to use the word Excel and I want to extract the first 5 characters. The formats now, it won't work. It would give me an error because there's inverted commas there. So if there's inverted commas inside of your formula, just put more inverted commas there. So 2 inverted commas and it would work. You guys see, then it works perfectly. So the important things here is how to use inverted commas. So effectively, if you've got text inside of your formula, this formula R1C1, and just the whole reference about how to use R1C1 references. So how do you make it fixed and how do you just use the normal ones? So that's quite important, and that's the ones which Visual Basics would use to be able to do other formulas. So normally what you'll do, you would do one formula at the top, which you would then copy and paste down. And then you can write another code to copy and paste down, especially if you use this one where it wasn't fixed. So this one we could copy and paste down, and we could copy and paste down. Like for example, okay, that one is fixed again. So if I just set equals that, and you could copy and paste that down, and it would still do. So that specific cell you're on, how many rows and columns to the left or right is it? Or specifically.